Hello, this is Easy Lithuanian video series, a simple way to learn Lithuanian grammar, and today we'll learn about the negative verbs, how to negate verbs. So, in order to negate a verb, the steps are pretty easy. You only have to do a few steps. You only need to add the prefix ne, which means no. So, when you have the infinitive, for example, žinoti, to know, you add ne, and you get nežinoti, nežinoti, which means not to know, or to not know, literally. Next, if there is a reflexive verb, for example, praustis, to have a bath or a shower, when you're adding a prefix to any reflexive verb, remember this rule about the reflexive verbs. If any reflexive verb has any prefix, the reflexive particle goes between the prefix and the verb. If a verb has a prefix, the si particle will be between the root of the verb and the prefix. So, you have praustis, to have a bath, you add ne, and you get nesiprausti, nesiprausti, nesiprausti. Not to have a bath, nesiprausti. Si goes between the prefix and the verb because it's a reflexive verb. Now, another thing. Let's say you have a prefixed verb which is already prefixed. Užsisakyti. This is prefixed and the reflexive verb at the same time. So užsisakyti means to order, sakyti means to say, užsakyti means to order something for someone, and užsisakyti means to order something for oneself. So now, you can ask, where should I put ne? Should I put it between the reflexive particle or before the verb? Well, the answer is one. It's before the verb. It's always before the verb. It doesn't matter what kind of verb is it. It is. Whether it's prefixed, if it's prefix reflexive or not prefixed, you should always add ne before the verb. Ne always comes the first. Remember this. Ne is always the first. So, you get neužsisakyti. Neužsisakyti, I'm sorry. Neužsisakyti means not to order something for oneself. Neužsisakyti. Neužsisakyti. So, the three basic things. I repeat them once again. To negate verbs, to add ne. For reflexive verbs, remember that the reflexive particle goes between a prefix and the root, if it's a reflexive verb. And for all kind of verbs, the third thing is that ne always goes the first. And now, so you will cope with all verbs easily. You will only add ne. But there are two negative verbs, which have short and negative prefixes, and they are shortened to only ne. Instead of adding ne, you only add ne. Well, this shortening happened perhaps due to the fact that those verbs have vowels as the first words. For example, eiti, to walk, and yra, it is. So, because the first letters are vowels and diphthongs, it is easier to pronounce. Well, how could you say it with a normal prefix, ne eiti? No, not to walk. You should say this is unnatural, ne eiti. You only add n, so you get neite. The syllables combine, and there's no difficulty pronouncing that. So the reason is convenience, perhaps. So neiti means not to walk, and nebūti not to be. And let's see how these verbs are conjugated. So let's look at the first verb, nebūti, not to be. Būti ar nebūti, to be or not to be. Aš nesu, tu nesi, nėra, mes nesame or nesam, jūs nesate or nesat, nėra. So the present tense of nebūti is this. You only add n, and the third person for to be is yra with y, and the negative is nėra. So somehow ne and yra change to nėra, perhaps due to convenience when pronouncing. So now you know the present tense of the verb not to be, which has only n and the verb, except the third person, singular and plural, which has ne instead of ne and yra. Now, the second verb which you should know, and the last verb which you should know, the negative verb is neiti, not to walk. So now let's see how it is conjugated in present tense, past tense, and what are the imperatives and subjunctives. Okay, so I'll read this. Aš neinu, tu neini, jis ji neina, mes neiname or neinam, jūs neinate or neinat, jie jos neina. So pretty easy. Again, you only add n, no changes occur. Now the past tense. Aš nėjau, tu nėjai, jis ji nėjo, mes nėjome or nėjom, jūs nėjote or nėjot, jie jos nėjo. Pretty easy. The imperative. Neik, neik, neikime or neikim, neikite or neikit. And the subjunctive. Aš neičiau, I would not go. Aš neičiau. Tu neitum, jis ji neitų. Mes neitume or mes neitum. Jūs neitute or jūs neitut. Jie jos neitų. So again, the prefix is only n, the consonant is left. And you know, I should say that once I've heard some Russian speaker, some Lithuanian, a native Lithuanian speaker, well, perhaps from a bilingual family, I don't know, on one TV show, who said this imperative, said neeik, neeik, neeik. You know, what a stupid word. How can you live in Lithuania for many years and not hear that the imperative for neiti is neik, neik, don't go, neik. And the speaker, who had a small Russian accent, so perhaps her whole family spoke Russian in her childhood, I don't know. And you know, the Lithuanian speaker had, the Lithuanian person from the TV show had a Russian accent, and she said neeik, neeik. So what a stupid thing, you know. What a stupid thing. How can you live in Lithuania for so long and not hear that all people say neik? I didn't understand this. I can't understand this. So remember this, that all those negative verbs, this nebūti and neiti, always have the n, only n. The prefix is only n. So nake. There cannot be such things in Lithuanian like neeik or neėjau or neėjo, neesu, neira or neeitų, and so on. No no There are no such things in Lithuanian. There's only smooth nake, nejai, neini, nesi, nesu, nėra, neitų, neėjo, neina, nėra, nesate, and so on. So remember this, that there's only this consonant left. It's a smooth pronunciation. No no Remember this. So thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, post them in the comment section, and have a good day.